Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the REC podcast, brought to you by the REC Toycast. I'm your host, Roman Chavez, and with me as always,
Eric Icarus.
Oh, Eric.
What's up, dude?
You can follow us on Instagram at REC Podcast. You can follow myself at Roman REC Podcast, and you can follow Eric
at Gulag_J_Wielden.
Yeah, he's got to do that every time, guys. I'm sorry.
That's my punishment, I guess.
Yeah, it's your
but
penance.
I like it. I like the punishment.
Dude, I'm feeling healthy. I'm not going to lie.
Really?
I'm feeling good. You can tell in my voice. This is probably the strongest my voice has been in the last month of shows.
Totally.
So I'm feeling good in a weird climate. But before we get into that, we got to pour one out for Max on Sydow. I'm probably saying his last name wrong. Sydow, but we all know him. We all love him.
Yes.
He's been in many movies of our past. Passed away this week at 90. He actually passed away after during the last show, and we just weren't able to talk about it. But we want to pour one out for The Exorcist, for Flash Gordon, Shutter Island, Game of Thrones,
the voice of Vigo from Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, it's awesome. Jesus himself.
And the greatest story ever told.
Yeah. Man, it stinks, man, but he was 90.
Yeah, he was was it the coronavirus that hit him?
It wasn't the coronavirus that got him.
Man.
I think he was just old, and God, he didn't live as long as Kirk Douglas, which we're not making fun of either of that, but it's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I did like a lot of his work.
Sucks to lose some more old Hollywood.
Right. It goes back to what we were talking about when Kirk Douglas passed away. It's just that caliber of actor just doesn't exist anymore. They just don't. The way that they actually, like their cadence, their vibrato, it's just different than what we've got today. Like, I don't think there's an actor even trying to do what they used to do. Granted, it's a product of the time.
Yeah.
But I could use some of that.
Yeah.
Like actual, acting.
Yeah.
Stage acting almost, you know?
When you put guys like that in movies, and even though they're old, you're like, oh.
Oh, yeah, they shine.
You're the three-eyed raven. You're literally standing in a tree, and you're captivating me. It's I don't know. Yeah,
it's pretty awesome, dude. I mean, he was my favorite role from him was Judge Dredd.
Oh Jesus,
he was awesing in that.
Okay,
he gets killed by those hillbillies.
Oh my gosh,
when they let him take the long walk.
Oh man, I think probably The Exorcist probably his most iconic, at least in America.
Yes.
I think he was Swedish and French and all this white European stuff. But we pour one out. We respect your work.
Yes.
And may you find peace, sir. Well, it's been kind of weird couple weeks.
Yeah.
We've touched on it numerous times, and if you guys are tired of hearing it, we're not here to spread any type of madness, but coronavirus, man. Coronavirus.
It's back in our privy.
It's back in our privy, and it's affecting a lot of people in terms of just like the panic.
Yeah.
And for us as moviegoers, right now there's no new movies coming out till the middle of April.
Right.
They're pulling out. The Mulan got pushed, supposed to come out March 27th.
What?
We knew that James Bond was the first one, and that was early because that doesn't even come out till April.
Right.
Fast and the Furious 9 got pushed. Peter Rabbit. They're probably gonna do Trolls, but I hope they don't.
Because of this kid movie, and all those kids will be in the same area and get sick.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. There's, if it's so hard to sift through all the misinformation,
yes. But that's where we got to draw the line on this. Is, everyone just needs to chill out.
Yeah,
seriously.
Yeah,
everyone, calm down. Stop buying up everything. It's not the end days.
Yeah.
Okay. Just cover your darn mouth.
Yeah,
wash your hands.
Cover your mouth, wash your hands.
And keep the elderly boarded up.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to keep your elderly, safe.
Keep them on a short leash.
Yeah, don't let them out of their room.
Okay.
I was at the supermarket the other day trying to look for stuff. I was in the canned aisle, and nearly everything was gone except some beans.
Creamed eel.
And creamed eels. But like, what I thought was weird, and I bought a few cans myself, was a chunky sirloin burger, which is arguably the best chunky soup. At least of the original 4 or 5 that they made. Now there's so many. There's a jambalaya.
There's a jambalaya.
There's a bunch of crazy stuff. But of the prime chunky soups, there was tons. I bought 4 or 5 cans.
Okay.
And I'm not even saving them for end of days. I just had one today. So, guys, calm down. Don't buy up all the medicine. Don't buy up all the, buy what you need, but leave some for the rest of us. Right?
Yeah. Don't buy up all the diapers and kid medicine. Come on.
Yeah.
Everyone just needs to chill. just, go on about your day, man.
Yeah, listen to the show. Chill out.
Read some comic books. Watch some movies.
Okay, yeah, catch up on some books. Catch up on some films. I watched a new movie.
What'd you watch?
Guys, we're 3 months into the new year, and guys, I've been busy. I have not watched any movies of my 52 movies to watch this year. But my wife pulled me aside and she says, "Sweetie," she says, "you're amazing. You're a handsome gentleman.
Right. Uh-huh.
Yep. I don't know how I'm so lucky to be with you. Mm-hmm. Just just that type of stuff." And she says she wants to watch Murder Mystery with Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston.
Oh yeah,
straight to Netflix movie. Counts. Not a movie I've seen before.
Okay, counts.
And so stupid it's funny.
Okay.
Yeah, it was super funny. Just like a cool veg on the couch. Right. So I'm sure those of you who are self-quarantining, you're watching Netflix, check out Murder Mystery. Super fun.
It's pretty good.
Super fun. Yeah.
Just a good.
Yeah, I'll never watch it again. But if it was on, I wouldn't change the channel.
Oh, okay.
So
them kind of movies.
Yeah. Nothing crazy. Adam Sandler does it again. Makes a movie that I wouldn't change if something else was on. But with all this craze, as with most things happening in the news, it gets me thinking.
Yes.
And I text my man Eric and I said, "Hey, this is the show tonight."
You're right. And then what happened?
And then Eric came over and said, "What are we doing tonight?" He straight up responded to my text message and then forgot that we had
in my defense, I've been busy.
You've been
show
busy.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Can't get too much into it right now.
We may have something interesting for you down the pipe, but I don't want to promise too much.
Yes, me either.
We got to stick it.
Yes, but I am in the game right now.
Yes.
So go ahead and tell them the theme of tonight's show.
So guys, I think it's only fitting. Let's talk about, I guess you would say, science fiction, comic book, movie viruses.
Sure.
Our favorites. The ones that we think are neat. Just pop culture, sci-fi viruses.
Yes.
I've got a few that hit home for me.
Right.
That are in my vein. And I'm going to start, I think, with the most simple one.
Sure.
The Legacy virus. From X-Men.
Very good.
Yeah. 90s virus released by Strife.
Yes.
He gives it to Mr. Sinister and tells him, "Hey, this is," I think he says something ridiculous like 2,000 years of Summer's DNA.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he tricks Sinister into letting it out. And this virus, it mostly attacks mutants. It's fatal to humans that can get it, but for the most part, it's wiping out the mutant population.
Is it? Okay, so it kills mutants.
Kills mutants, gets them really sick, and then, honestly, kind of like the coronavirus, kills off the weaker ones.
Okay.
The more compromised ones.
Honestly, in a way, it's very sinister.
Yeah.
The character, and it is sinister.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It actually, it kind of helps, push evolution. In a way, but
survival
of the fittest.
Strife is just an angry fellow, an angry clone of Cable. Spoilers. And yeah, so it gets a lot of people sick. It changes the course of X-Men for a while because Ileana Magic gets it.
Oh, really?
And dies. She actually dies. That's why Colossus turns.
Oh, goes to the Acolytes.
Yeah,
really.
He's so disillusioned with fighting Xavier's dream and the casualties that have come along with it, and that's why he flips.
Because they're fighting in the Citadel, and that's kind of when he's like, I can't follow your peaceful thing anymore. Look what happened when we let our guard down. And
there's I'll probably jog your memory a tad where I think they might be at Ileana's funeral, and then Magneto shows up. They fight, and then as Wolverine's gonna get to him or somebody like Magneto. It's Bishop, if I remember correctly. I haven't read it in a long time.
Okay.
And then Colossus just punches Bishop in the back and saves Magneto.
What?
And it was a super it was the biggest thing because Peter's the artist. He's the sensitive one.
He's a poet.
Yeah, he's the lovable juggernaut for more or less.
Yeah.
And it was I remember being a kid and just being like, oh my gosh, Colossus turned. And
it was a big deal.
It was
a huge deal, man.
He follows him for a while, and then he ends up coming back to the fold later. And what ends up happening is that Moira gets it, McTaggart, Avalanche. I think Avalanche dies from it, and Pyro might die from it as well.
Really?
There just some notable ones: Mastermind and Feral. And again, Maverick got it. And I think Maverick died from it as well. There was casualties. Obviously, some things have been retconned.
Not the same. Some of those people have been brought back.
They've been brought back, especially Magic and everything. So what ends up happening, though, in the end of it, and spoilers, guys, is when Colossus ends up coming back to the fold a few years later, Beast discovers like, hey, I've got a cure, but it can only be gestated into somebody who has a basically it needs to be put into somebody who then uses a mutant power to trigger it, and it'll kill that person, but it created airborne pathogens. And Colossus feels so guilty about everything and just like the loss that he sacrifices himself. So he sticks himself while he's in his kind of human form, changes, and then that's what creates the cure. Creates the antibodies that they need.
It's kind of weird because then they do that sort of in the X-Men cartoon.
A little bit.
But they use Wolverine,
They use Wolverine, and they don't call it the Legacy Virus.
Oh, they don't?
No, they don't. I don't know why, but yeah, they just call it something else. They just call it the mutant virus. I thought that was a very cool one, very pertinent, man. And it had interesting effects on on continuity and all of that.
Yeah, because I mean, you're kind of still seeing ripples of that to this day.
Yes,
you know what I mean. It's very interesting, man. Do you have another one?
I do.
Because I have a twofer. So if you go with this one, I'll give you the two.
Okay.
It kind of plays into both.
Okay, yeah. I've got another great one that really goes into our audience, and I guess we'll shout out to Eric's buddy Roberta. Is the Croatoan virus from Supernatural season 4 or 5. It is one of my absolute favorite episodes of science fiction television.
Nice.
For the history buffs, in one of the colonies, I believe in Roanoke, an entire colony disappears. This is real history. An entire colony disappears. They lose contact with them when people go to figure out what happened.
Right.
There's nobody there. There's no bodies. There's no nothing. And etched into a tree says Croatoa.
Okay, because that was in history.
This is in history. Yeah. Croatoan or Croatoa.
Right, one of them.
And I'm just paraphrasing from my memory. So in this episode of Supernatural, our boys they go to this small town, and etched on a tree says Croatoan. I don't know if they're in Roanoke or if it's something else.
Okay.
And when they get there, there's like some people exuding some just kind of crazy tendencies. They seem totally fine.
Right.
But then they start to attack anybody. And it's a virus that's spread through blood and through contact. And when you get it, like you're taken over by it in terms of your whole thing is just to kind of spread this virus. So it's not like you're bleeding from the eyes or anything crazy like that. You're just trying to either kill people or spread it to somebody so they can kill people.
Okay.
It's a great, excellent episode. It takes place in this small town. They're trying to keep people segregated. The boys are trying to figure it out. They're doing some research in their dad's journal, and their dad, played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he kind of theorized, because Eric hasn't seen the show.
I have not. Shame on me.
It helps him a lot. It's a great foil for the show is that he's got this journal, so they have to reference the journal a lot to get more.
Hey, that's cool.
And for him, he's got a small section in there where he theorizes that Croatoan was a demon, and that it's a demon virus. There are certain people who are immune to it. One of the brothers is immune to it. I don't want to tell Eric everything because I want him to watch the show one day. One of the brothers is immune. Angels are immune to it. But yeah, people, they start doing it, and it's just a great thing where they're kind of holed up in this sheriff's office. They're trying to figure out how they're going to handle it, and it's just full of suspense, full of quick action, and it was just like an interesting thing. And you find out later on that it's part of the apocalypse plan. Oh. It's part of the rapture to an extent.
Like the seals and stuff like that?
There is a lot of seal stuff, but the fact, basically Lucifer will use this at some point to thin the herd.
Oh, hey!
So that's kind of his plan, is you get infected,
right.
You start killing more humans, it makes it easier to burn the earth, basically.
Wow! So it's like a big purge virus in a way.
Yeah.
It purges the earth of everything.
Yeah, there's a great, and this will tie in, pop culture-wise as well. There's a great episode, it might be in the same season. Actually, the Croatoan episode might have been in season 4, and then in season 5, there's an episode where Dean goes to the future.
Okay.
So he goes past the apocalypse, and the brothers weren't able to stop it.
Oh crap!
And there's still pockets of humans left, but there's and the people there, they call them croats, the people who are infected. So the people who are fighting, they're not even really fighting with the angels; they're just fighting Lucifer and his demons.
Oh my god!
Hunters mostly.
Yeah.
They talk about how the virus spread and it thinned the herd and all this stuff. So like it came to be. But there's a funny thing in there, and you'll get a kick out of this not knowing it. Dean talks to one of his friends that's in the future, and he says, "Hey, can you tell me something that won't affect anything, but like give me a tip?" And he says to Dean, he says, "Toilet paper." He says, "Hoard it like it's gold."
Did he really say that?
Because it will be. That's what he says. So I'm terrified right now as a Supernatural fan of the Croatoan virus. But yeah, that was in this was 11 years ago.
It's almost phonetically similar to what,
dude. It's
Croatoa.
Dude, it's crazy, and it was just this is an episode that's 11 years old.
I'm about to say, man, I think Supernatural is going to be the new Simpsons. They predicted it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Wow, I've got to get on this show.
Yeah. I think you would dig it. I think you would dig it. There's a lot of like weird bro moments that kind of get boring. Right. But like the lore on the show is fantastic. There's some shows that are genuinely creepy.
Right.
So yeah, you need to watch it.
I'm gonna get into it, but so I'm gonna go with my first one here, and it doesn't necessarily have a name.
Okay.
But it's in one of my favorite movies, Children of Men, the infertility virus.
Oh. Yeah.
Just the way you see this virus impact the world. And if you haven't seen this movie, Children of Men, it's got Clive Owen.
Clive Owen, great.
And Julianne Moore.
Okay.
And Michael Caine. Basically, the premise is that women get this virus and they all of a sudden can't have children anymore. Yeah. And it just spreads, and then there hasn't been a child born in like 20 years. Yeah. Or something like that. So eventually, the human race is going to just be done.
Yeah.
And it's odd because it just looks like how things would really play out. People just going on with their day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, well, that's a bummer, but let's just keep going.
Yeah.
But then, out of nowhere, this woman has a child.
Mm-hmm.
And
she's pregnant.
She's pregnant. Yeah, she's pregnant. And all of a sudden, everybody wants to get a hold of her. And it's up to Clive Owen and the resistance, quote unquote.
Because there have been other people who have gotten pregnant, but they keep losing it. And this woman is like 8 months pregnant.
Right. She's like about to pop.
Yeah.
And it just... I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, shame on you.
Yeah.
And watch it. It's amazing. But it's a good look on how would we cope with that?
Well...
how would we feel about this?
I love the kind of ancillary parts of the story where the youngest person on the planet is like a superstar. Right. Because he's the youngest guy on the planet.
That would make sense.
He's just constant fame.
Right.
And then they talk about how he's in drugs, and I think he dies in the movie.
Yes.
Spoiler. But that's like it's not like part of the story.
No, but
they're following it. You're following it in the news.
Right.
And you're talking, like he was, sensation overnight because he's the youngest person. Right. And, last one out basically. And he's, very much like paparazzi party lifestyle and
famous
everything.
For being famous.
Very much so.
And it's cool because there's Julianne Moore and Clive Owen's character in the movie were married at one point, had a kid, lost the kid, but their kid did go to term. This was before the virus hit.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna go to the end and spoil the movie.
Yeah.
I don't care because you know what, you need to watch it. If you haven't seen it, you're off.
Spoilers in a second.
Spoilers 1, 2, 3. Anyway, they managed to get this woman, and because she goes to term, has a child. Clive Owen gets her on this boat to get her to safety, but Clive Owen's been shot.
Yeah.
And he has to, he basically did his job, but he's telling her how to quiet the child. It's like his memories of raising a child came back to him, and it just didn't leave him. Yeah. So it's like a father bestowing wisdom onto his daughter to give to his granddaughter. Yeah. It was just within 3 seconds, and it was God, it's such a good movie. Heart-wrenching.
That scene where they go by the public school, and it's just like overgrown. The swings are all rusted. There's a lot of eerie stuff.
Great imagery.
There's that great shot of that. Like it's like what, a 25-minute like no cut scene.
It's close. It
long.
starts in the car, flips around. It's intense. That scene is amazing.
Great movie, good pull. I really enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, that one is really good.
Man. I didn't even think about that one.
Oh man, I've got the I have a twofer, but I want to save it for my last one.
Okay.
Because it plays into two things, and it's pretty funny. I can't believe these two companies let it happen.
Yeah.
My next one is the Ripper virus from I Am Legend.
That was on my short list.
It was
on my short list. Yeah.
Honestly,
I couldn't remember. Like I remember the movie, but I couldn't remember enough about it to really talk on it.
Breeze through the graphic novel. Have you read the graphic novel?
Oh yeah. Well, it's a short story. The Omega Man.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference between the Omega Man and I Am Legend.
Yes.
But it's
the ending especially.
Both are very good.
In their own way.
Yeah. Because in the Omega Man with and they made a movie of that with Charlton Heston.
Yes.
They're straight up vampires.
Okay.
They're straight up vampires in the Omega Man. Like they know where he's at, and like the female vampires they're like loving on each other, trying to like entice him out.
Right.
But yeah, like sun bothers them, garlic bothers them. This whole thing.
Yeah, just straight up real bit like vampire.
But what's so great about, and which I think that they really missed the point in the film, I imagine with Will Smith, is that in the Omega Man, like almost everybody's vampires but him.
Right.
And he kills those people, so he's like the boogeyman to them.
Exactly.
Like he is legend to them.
Yes, he's the monster.
Yes, it's such a fascinating story. But the Will Smith movie is really fun.
It's got its own thing to it. I just wish they had kept the original ending because they did shoot it, and it's on the extra DVD extras, and it's way more better than what we got.
Yeah.
Basically him spoilers.
Yeah.
Sacrificing himself so they get the cure to the military base.
Yeah.
Just your run-of-the-mill Hollywood ending.
Very
basically.
cookie-cutter ending.
Yeah. And then in the original, or the one they did shoot the ending, the original one, basically Will Smith has this vampire strapped down, and he's doing experiments on her, and these other monsters are breaking into his fortress, and all they wanted to do was get her back. It was like they were trying, it was like this one... monster trying to rescue his spouse basically from the boogeyman, and it's like he understands like, oh wow, they have humanity, they have feelings, and then it's like Will Smith is a great actor, and him not even saying anything but acting with his face like, wow, I'm terrible, I'm the devil basically, and he did it with his face and his eyes, like, but him realizing, oh, maybe our time is up. Yeah. And it's their time now. Maybe it's time for me to just die.
See, and I think the reason that doesn't work is because the virus is man-made.
It was, but we did it to ourselves.
Yes, true, but...
So, we are at our own fault there. Yeah. Our hands to our own demise. Yeah. So that's how I saw it. But it was an interesting take on just seeing virus wipe out, annihilate everything,
It's creepy. It was a great...
Can we talk about the dog scene?
I mean, I don't care about animals that much. Like, I don't want animals to be hurt or anything like that. Yeah. But I'm not like a guy who's like, dude, the dog scene breaks your heart, man. It does. His buddy.
Yeah, it was it. That's all he had. His only tie. And it's funny. I was talking. Me and our group of friends were out one time having dinner. And they're like, if you were going to kill your wife, how would you do it? And I was like, oh, like the dog from my End Legend.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Tears in my eyes.
Yeah. Dude, yeah. Oh, such a brutal and a great scene.
Great.
And I love that they put the time into, like, some people might think it's boring, but I think that there's a lot of good time put into... him trying to figure it out, like us seeing the failed tests, seeing those things. Like, you don't need to spend a lot of time on it, but I like seeing like what he'd been doing. I love that room that was just full of the rats.
Totally.
Like, okay, subject 12 dead, subject 13 dead. This one, puked its brains out. Right. Like, he's like really trying to figure it out, and he's using his own blood. Like, it's so interesting.
It's good. And like you said, it's got good merit. Omega Man's got its thing. Mm-hmm. The book's got its thing. Yeah. But again, good virus. Yeah. One of my faves.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Made for three things that all are basically in the same vein. All very interesting.
Yeah. Very, very true.
I think I don't know if you're going to say this one, but I'll put it out there. 28 Days Later.
Oh, hey!
Rage virus.
Yep.
Is that on your list?
It was at the end, but
okay.
If you didn't say it, I was going.
Okay. So the Rage virus, which 28 days later, 28 weeks later, which I'm so bummed we didn't get 28 months later.
Right.
But both of those movies are excellent, and they basically just become zombie movies.
Right.
But initially, the idea was that they were trying to harness the part of the brain that creates rage and aggression. Right. And try to, like, cure it.
Right. That reptile part of your brain, folks.
Yeah. And it kind of goes out, and it makes people kind of, basically the underlying thing is that it makes them... They're constantly full of adrenaline.
Right.
So they're running, they don't feel pain really, and eventually they will die off because they're not like looking for food. Oh, they're just they're just raging.
They're raging, not like, hey brah, I raged last night.
Yeah, puts them in a feral state and they just kill.
Right.
And the screaming, that scene in the church.
Church was the best. Oh, it was the best.
Oh god! If you've not seen that and you're like a zombie person, somebody who's afraid of zombies, I'm terrified of zombies, but I love zombie stuff. And man, like I was on the edge of my seat, blanket over my face. Like, oh, both those movies are so intense. The screaming and the running. Like, this was the first time I feel like I saw fast zombies.
Yeah, me too. And was that or
New Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah, exactly.
Might have been New Dawn of the Dead, but that one didn't feel as scary as the Rage virus did.
Just because the way it's shot too, it's so grainy.
Yeah, Danny Boyle.
Danny Boyle's the man.
Shot it like an indie movie, and it really was just so intense. Oh, it was so intense.
It made me. Again, like, I'm not terrified of zombies, but those ones,
yeah. Oh yeah. Like the Walking Dead zombies, you have a chance.
Yeah.
But the Rage zombies it's rough.
No, it's like, rough. Yeah.
And just a solid.
I just like how they throw up on each other too.
Yeah.
Throw all that blood up on each other.
Scary. Like, and it's an interesting, and that's why that was kind of like, I think a smart thing about it too was like how it like perpetuated itself.
Sure.
Like, it's trying to make a horde.
Yes.
It's not just like it wants to infect you.
Exactly.
It's going to kill you or infect you.
Right. And it's, I don't know. It's I don't know. I could. Did they explain more of it in 28 months later, or did they kind of just stop?
Well, they never did 28 months later.
I mean, weeks later.
In 28 weeks later, they did talk about it because that's where we get like the carriers.
Yes.
So like they're able. They kind of leave 28 weeks later. Spoilers on the fact that, okay, we have people who are carriers, but they're not like raging out.
Right.
So we can synthesize antibodies from those people to cure people. But then, it cuts and it says 28 months later, and we see that Paris is like overrun.
That's right.
Yeah,
yeah.
So like whatever they didn't work, or they didn't do it in time, or whatever, we'll never know at this point.
Yeah, I know. Which kind of glad. In a way. It makes it a little more eerie.
I am, and I'm not.
Because then where do you go? You go 28 months later, then 28 years later, 28 decades later. It's like, we got to stop somewhere.
Well, see, what you do is in 28 months later, you have them get off the planet. And then you have them come back. You have them get...
a little Jason X on
you have a space seed go out, and then they come back to Earth 28 years later to see like what happened.
I can get...
I could have got behind all of that. Okay. But...
I'm with you.
C'est la vie.
Say la vie. That's awesome. Okay, so my other... This one is an interesting twofer. Maybe you can expound on it.
Okay.
Because this is the first time I've heard of this. We have Marvel Comics. Virus X. DC Comics. Virus X.
I actually don't know what either of those
are. Virus X in Marvel Comics. It was created by MODOK.
Okay.
If you folks don't know who MODOK is, Google it. You'll laugh your butt off.
Yeah, he's a synthetic being created by AIM, I believe. Mechanical organism designed only for killing.
Is that what that is?
Yes. That is the acronym for MODOK.
And apparently this virus was tested on homeless guys in the Marvel Universe. And, and apparently Thing is the one that's able to get the cure for it. So, I don't know how. Didn't read too much into it. But in the DC one, it's a Kryptonian disease.
Okay.
So I think
I'm not familiar with either of them.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. And then Virus X in the DC universe had its first appearance in Action Comics number 362.
Okay.
Folks, I'm reading this off of something. Yeah. So I don't know this. I'm not like my man over here.
Yeah.
So apparently McKill's plant life. Just bad news for Superman. Yeah. Because no photosynthesis happens with the sun. My bad. It's just not good for him. But I just thought it's odd that these two warring companies had the same virus. And how is Virus X not tied to X-Men?
Right. Yeah.
It's Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And homeless guys. Maybe that's how Rudy Giuliani got rid of all those homeless people.
Release Virus X. I'll go to another comic book one.
Okay, cool.
The techno-organic virus.
Oh, nice.
The Phalanx. Warlock.
Yep.
Yeah. Not the Jewel Warlock.
Not Adam Warlock.
Yeah, not Adam Warlock. The shape-shifting, lovable scoundrel.
Yeah, basically.
The techno-organic virus, again, another X-Men related one, which does make a lot of sense. It's actually they're basically the Borg. And they assimilate organic matter.
Yes.
And as they're assimilating you, they're basically draining your life energy.
Oh.
And then you're fine. And then finally you're kind of assimilated into the collective hive mind.
Okay.
And you're just a drone, basically. But yeah, while you're doing it, while you're able to, you are who you were. But you have that in your head, like, I need to spread the virus. So for a short time, you're able to shapeshift, and you're able to regenerate and all of this stuff. And, that's how it's able to, like, infiltrate things, because once you're connected, you're able to, I could look like you could look like me. And then once they find mutants, they're like, oh,
What is this?
We're assimilating their powers. So like they're able to absorb the abilities of the mutants, and they're like, oh, we need to assimilate all the mutants.
Yes.
And it was a great storyline in the 90s in that kind of wasteland of comic book stories when the market really did take a dip on comics.
Because it was like how many effing crossovers,
yes.
You know what I mean?
And at least X-Men was still trying to do a good crossover at this point. And the Phalanx Covenant was very solid.
It was cool. It had its ups and downs, but it was okay.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, anything that's, again, the Phalanx are like the Borg, which makes them space zombies.
Yes.
And it really did make for a very interesting read. And who's got it, who doesn't, how
it was kind of cool how they did that.
It was a super fun.
Cable? Doesn't he have part of that?
Yeah, so Cable has the techno-organic virus. He gets it in the future.
That's right.
And that's why they have to leave him there. That's why Jean and Cyclops have to leave him there, because we don't have the technology to fight it. But they have the technology to, like, keep it at bay.
Gotcha.
So it's still taking him over, but it's taking him over slowly.
I heard that it's because he used a lot of his telekinesis to keep it in check. That's why he's not as powerful as he should be.
So when X-Man, that alternate, that Age of Apocalypse Nate Gray,
right?
He's a crazy powerful telepath. So it shows you how much Cable is like fighting it. Because Cable can like move some stuff with his mind. Like if we're close, like if he's like in arm distance, he can push you a little bit mentally. But like Nate Gray is terribly powerful.
Right, like OP.
Yes, OP, and yeah, it's a really interesting. It comes up quite often, and
do they still use it as a trope in the new X-Men books?
They did. Or? They did a really fun storyline a few years back called Necrotia.
Oh,
and they use the techno-organic virus to like resurrect a bunch of people on Genosha.
Okay,
so they use it to resurrect a bunch of people, and then they use that as a trope to like, we stop the techno-organic virus again. Oh, Banshee's still alive. Like it resurrected people. So it was an interesting way for them to do that. Yeah, it's fun. It makes them look cool, and right. I love the whole idea of who do you trust. Who's infected.
Right. It's sort of like what they were doing with the scroll.
Like the
thing,
scrolls.
With
the Thing. We were talking about the movie where, like, if it touches you, right, in the movie The Thing, like, aren't you...
Kinda, yes. I think that's what they were trying to do in the movie or whatever, but, I mean... Yeah, that's cool. I mean, X-Men had the best viruses.
They really did.
I mean, I don't know, other than Virus X, what I, research basically, I don't know any DC ones.
For DC, they did have the, when they did their deceased zombie thing, it was through Anti-Life, which is something that Darkseid's, like, obsessed with. He's obsessed with this, like, equation, this, like, mathematical...
The Anti-Life equation, yes. That's right.
So, in this DC story, he kind of cracks part of it,
right?
But it infects anybody who was on. It was basically like the Cell from Stephen King.
Oh,
like if you were holding something that like a phone,
right?
And you saw the anti-life equation that he solved, it turned you into a murderous zombie. Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
It was kind of interesting. It was a fun way to do the same old trick.
Right.
But it was fun. It made for a lot of fun. They did great covers for it. All of that. Of course,
stuff. But again, it doesn't have the same kind of carryover that the X titles have with their viruses,
And just like in Marvel Zombies, which we never really got clarification on how that started.
Right, which I'm okay with that.
You do like that open-ended interpretation. I like a little bit more closure.
Yeah.
Do you have any other interesting ones? All right,
I got a good one for you.
All right, what's your big one?
Bonitis from Futurama.
Oh, God damn it. Doctors said I had bonitis. Why don't you explain to our listeners what bonitis is?
It's from the episode of Futurama. I believe it's season 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Fry, is he working at that lab at the time?
Fry is like trying to he's like part of a self-help group of like people who are like thawed.
That's what it was.
Yeah. So there's like a caveman.
Yeah.
There was an 80s guy.
Yeah.
And the 80s guy was like your sleazy Wolf of Wall Street.
Think American Psycho.
Yeah. What's that one with Martin Sheen or Charlie
Wall
Sheen?
Street.
Wall Street. Yeah.
Gecko.
Yeah. Gordon Gecko. Very Gordon Gecko-esque character.
Yeah.
And he freezes himself because he got diagnosed in the 80s with bonitis. And we don't really know what bonitis is until the end of the episode. And basically his instructions were, thaw me once bonitis has been cured.
Right.
Well, this Gordon Gekko like character, he's like all about, the deal and the backstab and all of that stuff, and he gets control of the delivery company.
Planet Express, yeah.
And as he's like about to do his like, his big reveal, his like arms like start bending in like weird directions, and his like torso's twisting, and it's like he was so focused on being like this 80s,
the big cheese, yeah.
He didn't like cure his bonitis, so he like dies on screen like hilariously, and his
last words. My only regret is having bonitis.
And now, Eric, I'm gonna
hit me with something good, man.
I'm gonna pull the yellow flag on you because it wasn't like an epidemic.
Okay, very true. Well, it could have been.
It could have been, but
it could have been.
But it's hilarious.
It is very hilarious,
and I love bonitis.
Yeah, it's not an epidemic, but again, it could have. Maybe they had a vaccine for it. Within the future.
That's true. That's true.
That's why he froze himself to quarantine himself.
Yeah. So there was a time where it was a big deal.
Sure.
And Fry was asleep or something, and then okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
I can explain that away.
Flimsy pretenses, but I'll take
it. No yellow card.
No yellow card. I'm gonna pull it back. All
right. Give me your.
Honestly, that's pretty much all for me. Those are the ones that I really enjoy.
For sure. Those are scary ones.
That I find to be very interesting. There's a lot of stuff that I'm not super familiar with, like in The Strain. I don't know if you ever read that.
Oh, The Strain.
Or I saw the first season where it's basically like that weird vampire disease.
Yeah, basically. A lot of it is either zombie or vampire, vampiric or zombie.
So I'm glad that we were able to pull some ones out that weren't that cookie cutter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Real quick though, what virus or epidemic movie, maybe based on something real, was the scariest for you? Because mine was Contagion.
I never watched Contagion. I heard. I think my wife, when she watched it, she said she really liked how they showed the spread of
that. Right, and then even Outbreak.
Yeah, Outbreak is the one that sticks out in my head most.
Mine's the theater scene.
I don't even remember the theater scene.
Where you got these. Everyone's in this theater laughing, watching a comedy, and you watch the particles travel from person to person.
Okay,
and that scene has always stuck in my head to this day. Just even when I'm in a theater, I laugh and I'm like covering my mouth.
Jesus, the thing that sticks out to me the most, because it was Kevin Spacey, Dustin Hoffman, and Renee Russo. Renee Russo.
Yeah,
And what stuck out in my head as much is like Kevin Spacey gets it, and he looks like crap.
Right.
Like it's like he's like bleeding from his eyes and from his ears,
places.
Yeah, everywhere. But then when Renee Russo gets it, she just gets real sweaty. like she's pretty. She's still like you're Renee Russo. This is after Lethal Weapon 3.
You're not gonna be bleeding out of your orifices.
Yeah. Like they really did Kevin Spacey dirty, but apparently he deserved it. Renee Russo, she's just like sweaty and a little pale. Like that's what I remember.
She just hung over.
Yeah. She didn't even have it. She was just like, I'm tired of working on this virus.
Yeah.
I think the book World War Z, really did. I don't know if did you ever read that?
No. I want to.
One of the few novels I've read as an adult.
I want to read it bad. Do you have it?
I have it around here somewhere, but yeah, we'll get it to you. But what was interesting about the way that they did it, it's very different from the movie. Mm-hmm. The movie's fantastic, but it's very different from the movie. And one of the things they talk about is in the book, it's this reporter who's gathering stories from different people all around the world and like kind of compiling it, just like talking about what other people were doing.
Right.
What's your story of survival? And when he's talking to this one doctor, they were talking about how the black market helped spread it. So people who are, getting their kidneys taken in the hotel room type thing, those black market organs were going to other countries, and then those people were getting sick based off of it. Like, that was one of the reasons.
That's cool.
One of the ways it spread.
That's interesting.
It was a very interesting way to put it.
I really need to read this.
It's really good. And it's cool because like each chapter is like somebody else's story.
See, that's kind of what I wanted the movie to be.
Yeah,
I remember you describing the book to me before the movie came out. I'm like, I cannot wait to watch this. Yeah. And then, don't get me wrong, I like the movie. The one we got was
really good.
Really
Has no reason being called World War Z.
Nope, it doesn't.
Don't pay Max Brooks or Mark Brooks. I can't remember. One of them's an artist. One of them is a writer. Don't pay Mr. Brooks, and just make your own zombie movie. Because honestly, if they wasn't called World War Z, I would have never made that connection.
Really?
No, yeah.
That's far off.
It's Yeah, it's completely different.
Jeez.
It's completely different. And like I said, it's basically a bunch of short stories of survival.
Yeah, which dig it.
Dude, it's so
dig
good. The one chapter, the Battle of Yonkers, and he's talking to Yonkers, New York.
Yes,
He's talking to this platoon whatever guy
right.
gunner who was there, and they were saying like how hard it was to fight a horde because they're trained their entire lives center mass shots, and doesn't kill zombies. So they lost New York because they couldn't hold the line at Yonkers, and because they just they had snipers, but not everybody in the army is a sniper.
No.
So yeah, it was a really interesting story of that.
God, that's cool.
Yeah, there's so many good ones. There's this one where this blind guy, he's kind of like he's I don't want to call him a monk, but it kind of seemed like that. Where he gets left and he's blind,
right?
And he's in the woods, and he's talking about how he can hear things rustling through, and he's just trying to survive. And if I remember correctly, this bear comes out of nowhere and kills a lot of the dead, and it dies, but it protected him. And they talk about how
sort of life protecting life.
Yeah, it was so interesting. Allegories and whatnot.
Right.
They talk about how these monks also developed a hand-to-hand combat style specifically for the dead.
Zombies?
Yeah, specifically to keep them from biting you and stuff. They don't describe it in detail, but they mention it.
Is it just them doing the Thriller dance?
Yeah. You guys got to blend in. All right, you got to blend in. You're gonna take a step and you're gonna slide.
It's like the Miyagi way of training.
Yeah, just getting work done.
We might have to do a part 2 because 12 Monkeys is another one for me.
Ooh,
because this is getting a little long, but yeah,
I'm fine with it. Tell us about the 12 Monkeys. Let's end on that.
Again, don't really know what causes this, but movie from 1995.
Yeah, you really like these lazy writers.
I kind of do. And Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt, a lot of other kind of awesome character actors. You know them, but don't know their names.
Yeah.
Kind of a time travel movie. Bruce Willis is a criminal, so basically he's getting a pardon if he goes back in time to find out what disease or virus wiped out the human race.
Yeah.
And he has to go back there and collect information. So basically, they cannot ever cure this virus, but they can develop a vaccine for it. So if they were able to get a sample, they could bring it back and inoculate people.
Yeah.
So it kind of doesn't happen. But again, it just shows what would happen. People go underground, legit, literally underground. The animals take over the top. It's a very cool way to look at how a virus might either bring us together or wipe us out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I remember you telling me because we were very young when this came out. And you loved it. And I just thought it was okay.
Oh, I was obsessed with this movie.
I'm curious if I could watch it now, if I would like it more.
Maybe we should watch it again.
Well, we should probably check that out. But
yeah, because the ending again, it's I don't want to give it away.
Don't, because that's my favorite part of the movie.
Yes.
The ending.
Yeah.
In
So I'm
the
not giving
airport
it away.
or the bus station, whatever it is.
Yep.
Airport. Yeah.
Yep.
And I haven't seen it since we were there. I've never watched it again.
There's disturbing images in this where they cannot pinpoint the time travel that accurately.
Yeah.
So he ends up in World War I during one of those trench fights, and then he ends up getting his picture taken, and he's in all these textbooks, and then people just can't explain that photo. Like, why is there a naked dude in the middle of one of these trenches?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then again, I wish they would have left it open because they could have maybe alluded that this didn't happen at all. It's all in his head. You know what I mean? Because they were trying to allude to it initially in the first maybe 30 minutes, and they just gave up on that.
Yeah. Did you ever watch the show?
I tried to, but again, too much TV.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it. Did you watch it?
I did not. No.
I heard it's pretty good.
Yeah, I heard it was great.
I heard maybe it was more about the virus than it actually was about time travel. It was about them trying... Yeah, me too. It was about them trying to survive, basically. Yeah. So, we should probably give that a watch again, man.
I'd be curious to check that out.
Yeah, Terry Gilliam, awesome director. Directed one of my other favorite movies, Brazil. Have you ever seen Brazil?
I have not seen that.
Awesome movie.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer for it.
Yeah, good movie. But, man, viruses are scary.
Yeah, dude. And
what about Cyrus the virus?
I was totally going to talk about. I was totally going to talk about John Malkovich as the human virus himself. Con Air. Put the bunny down, kids. Put the bunny down. That's our show for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what we're doing, please hit the subscribe button. Give us a like. There's tons of science fiction viruses. comment below. Let us know one that we missed, and because we didn't hit them all. Let us know your favorite. Let us know what you think of the ones that we put together. And guys, we're just trying to add a little levity to this this situation. A lot of people are at an 11 right now.
Chill
and
out. Me and my boy here are not.
Yeah, we're all. I think we're all going to be fine. Help those you can. If you've got elderly people that neighbors that they might just be afraid to go out and go shopping, go help them out, man. Do them a favor.
If you got extra toilet paper you can spare, honestly, or anything, help your fellow man out.
Especially those older people.
Don't give into this fervor, and don't make the 12 monkeys happen.
Exactly. Guys, that has been our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have been your host, Roman Chavez.
I'm still Eric Icarus.
And we will catch you next time.